Is it God's fault when we see a starving child or um, war or other things that upset us? Do these things exist because God caused them or because God didn't cause them? In other words, is it God's fault that these things exist? Well, to start with, if um, if we're saying that God is responsible for them, who's creating them and who's not solving the problem? It's us. These aren't unsolvable problems. A hungry person needs food. The solution is to give him food. It's not, it doesn't take a miracle to feed somebody. It doesn't take a miracle to stop a war. It just doesn't have to begin. It doesn't take a miracle to end all these things that we think God is supposed to end. It doesn't take a miracle. It only takes us not creating them. So when we see these kind of things and blame it on God, it's not just that God is not creating a miracle to end them. It's that God allows this. God allows us to create these things because these things are on us. They're not God's um, responsibility. And if we see these kind of things and blame God, what are we doing? We're saying we're not responsible. We're not accountable. We're not a good Samaritan. We don't have to do anything about this. This is God's problem, but it's not God's problem. These things are our opportunity to do good in the world. There are condemnation if we don't solve them, if we don't end them. The hungry person is not a sign that God doesn't exist or that God doesn't have mercy. It's a sign that we are absolutely abysmally ignorant and evil. It's a total condemnation of our culture, of our way of life, of our values. It's quite possible that when we go to heaven, there will be a picture of a starving person there for us to look at. And God will say, well, what did you do? I was hungry and you did not feed me. I was naked and you did not clothe me. I was homeless and you did not give me shelter. And we can say, well, we didn't see you hungry, naked, and homeless, God. And he's going to say, here I am here. This is me in this picture. Why didn't you do something? And the atheist can conveniently say, well, I don't believe in you. But how does that stop you from feeding a hungry person? How could that possibly prevent you from sheltering the homeless? That you don't, because you don't believe in God? That prevents acts of charity. That hardens your heart against people because you don't believe in God. And you're going to say that's proof that God doesn't exist. God's not doing anything. How can you say that? He's giving you an opportunity to step up and act like you're human. He's giving you the chance to be compassionate, to care, to put somebody first before your own ego. And what are you doing? washing your hand of the whole affair because God isn't doing it and because God isn't solving this problem, that means it's an unsolvable problem and you have no responsibility for the outcome. But by your own words, you're being condemned. Because if Christians believe in God and see things not being done, they're failing to live up to their beliefs. But what are you doing? You know there is no God. In your heart you're saying there is no God. And yet all you can do when you're faced with a starving person is hold him up as proof there is no God. You're proof there's no God in you. That's all you're proving. You're proving you have no spirit of compassion in you, no forgiveness, no love. That's all you're proving.